Good evening, everyone. My name is Juan Pardo, and today we are going to present our intercultural project about I Am Legend. In this presentation, we will compare the book and the movie and explain how the same story can have a very different meaning.
My name is Juan Rico, and we will focus on the history, the characters, and especially the difference between both versions. The book was written by Richard Matheson, and the movie was directed by Francis Lawrence.
At, fis- at first, both versions seem very similar because they show a world destroyed, a virus where dangerous creatures exist.
However, when we analyze them, the feeling changes. In the movies, we can see how Neville lies with fear and tries to survive emotionally.
But in the book, everything feels more intense, more aggressive, and more focused on survival than on emotions. In the movie, Neville lives completely alone in New York, and the city looks entirely silent and abandoned. The creators have a very strong feeling of isolation.
He tries to keep routines and stay mentally stable, but we can see the loneliness slowly affects his mind and his behavior. In the book, Neville is not hiding or escaping. He is actually the one who hunts the creatures during the day.
For example, in the book, it says he killed them in their sleep, which so that he is the one in control.
So instead of being afraid, he becomes the one they fear, and they try to avoid him. This is the opposite of the movie.
In the movie, we can clearly show the loneliness affects Neville's mind, especially when he starts to talking to mannequins as they were real people.
This shows that he is trying to replace human interaction, but at the same time, his mental state is deteriorating.
He connects with the books where it is mentioned that the silence was the worst, showing that isolation in a life physical will deeply psychosocial.
In the book, one of the most important ideas is that the creatures are not just monsters, but something more complex.
As it says, they were not all mindless, which mean they can think, communicate, and organize themselves.
This changes the entry story because now we are not just looking at enemies, but at the new society with its own rules and way of living.
In the movie, Neville has a dog, and this is very important because it represents his last emotional connection.
Through this relationship, we can see that he still has empty and emotional needs, which makes the story more human and relatable.
This is very different from the book, where Neville feels more isolated and less emotionally connected to anything around him.
In the book, Neville becomes more aggressive and emotionally unstable over time because he is constantly under pressure and has no human contact.
This is reflected in the idea that he was alone and the loneliness was walking him, which explains why his behavior he becomes more interested and more desperate.
Instead of dealing with emotions like in the movie, he reacts with frustration, anger, and a stronger survival instinct.
In the movie, Neville is focused on finding a cure, and this gives him a clear purpose and motivation.
We can see that his actions are driven by hope because he believes humanity can still be saved.
At the end, he sacrificed himself to protect that solution, which reinforced that the idea that he is a hero, some who gives his life for others.
In the book, the ending is very different because Neville realized that the world has changed and he is no longer part of it in the same way.
At that moment, he understands that he is not dominant force anymore, and as he is success, he was no longer the hunter.
This is important because it shows a complete change in roles. The one who used to hunt is now seen as a threat.
So the story is not about survival anymore, but about understanding that the concept of normal has changed completely.
From the perspective of the new society, Neville is not a hero, but the monster, because he is the one who hunts them and represents danger.
He becomes a figure that they fear, avoid, and even talk about, just like a legend.
That is why at the end of the book he says, I am a legend, meaning that he is not the savior, but the last representation of a world that no longer exists.
So while in the movie he's seen a hero who saved humanity,
In the book, he is remembered as something dangerous, something that does not belong anymore.
in conclusion, both versions tell the same story, but they communicate completely different ideas about humanity, fear, and survival.
The movie shows us a hero who sacrifices himself to save others and focuses on hope, emotions, and connection.
But the book makes you question everything because it shows that what we consider normal or human dependent on perspective.
It makes us think the behind a monster is not about how you look, but about how others see you.
So in the end, the real question is not who survived.
But who belongs in the new world.
The monster
That
depends on
depends
who
on
is
who
telling the
is
story.
the story.
Thank you, everyone.
Mm.